Hey there, welcome back. We are still modeling out our Viper. And in the last video, I had got a lot of this stuff attached in. And in between videos, I've not really changed my mind as to that attachment process, but I'm going to change a little bit of how it goes. What we're going to do is change things up a bit so that we're going to have the front part of the fuselage kind of sliding into the rear part of the fuselage closer to what we see here. So we are going to separate what's going on with the wing and then make some changes to the modeling as we go. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I've got this skinny little polygon here that I don't really need, so we're going to get rid of that first off. So let's switch over to vertices. I want these two. Let's go Alt-M, and we'll just merge to last. Now I'm going to switch over to faces. Just hit B and grab everybody kind of on the forward part of the fuselage. I'm going to hold down Shift and just click a whole bunch of faces to add to that. I get these leading edge faces because they'd be really easy to miss. Now on the underside, we're only going to go back to here, and if I take a look at the actual underside and switch to wireframe, you can kind of see where I'm leading that right up to. Okay, so let's get back out here. Now with all those selected, there's a couple of different ways to go about this. The way I'm going to do it is to tap space and just use the separate command. So we'll separate by selection, and this becomes an entirely separate polygon object. So we have the back of our ship, and we have the front of our ship. Two entirely different creatures. Now we're going to make a few changes to the both of them. Let's start off with some changes to the back part of our ship. So let's grab this guy. And let's see here, can we just go to Object and... Oh, I didn't really mean to do that. We could put these guys on different layers, but I'm going to end up reattaching them here in just a little while anyway, so I'm not going to bother with that. But let's go ahead and hide unselected so that all we're looking at is just this. Let's go into edit mode. And we've got this nice little ridge that we terminated right here at this corner. I'm going to get rid of the face that we used to terminate that. Make that go away. And then let's grab edges all along here. I don't want that back one. And we're just going to extrude these up, create that lip here as well. So that's it. Now I can grab these two and I can fill those in. We can switch over to vertices and I can just kind of smooth out that transition just a little bit. There are a few other changes I can make as well. Since this is a pretty straight edge down here, I no longer need some of this detail. So we can grab these two and we can merge at last, grab these, Shift R and do the same thing. So that simplifies that down a great deal. We're not going to bother with actually attaching the top and bottom of these pieces. There's just no need to do that, and it would end up just making things a lot more difficult for us. But we can carefully run along this edge and just sort of clean it up. Put a little more thickness on it just to be on the safe side. Just carefully pull all these down just a little ways. I think that looks pretty good. Now let's go back to Mesh. Well, actually we need to do that with the Object menu, so let's jump back up to Object Mode, Show Hidden. That brings this back up, which is great. Cool thing about doing it that way is we maintain that nice differentiation from the front to the back. So that we can just smooth out both of them. Okay, now with that done, let's take a look at this front guy, because he now has some detail that he no longer really needs, and it'd be nice if we could clean some of that up. So if I grab these two vertices, let me go ahead and frame up on those with the point key. We can Alt-M and merge those to center. And if we go into wireframe view, we can do the same thing back here. So Shift-R. And we can probably do something similar in this direction as well, because it's very likely we don't really need a lot of this detail. We just have to be careful with how we decide to do that. What I almost would like to see happen here is for this edge to just kind of come back down here to this corner instead of what it's doing right now. So let's just do that. Let's switch over to faces. I know this is really kind of nitpicky, but sometimes that's the name of the game. Let's grab these two edges. I just hit F and go into wireframe view, get this edge, and, well, I guess it's just going to be, now that I can see a little better, this edge, and this edge, and we can just kind of frame those up. Oh, what happened there? It's like something broke that I didn't want to have break. Okay, well, then deleting out, I can do it, but I need to delete one at a time, otherwise I'm just making more work for myself. So let's try that again. I'll just nuke this guy out. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know, Zach. You're going to end up putting the thing right back the way it was if you're not just really, really careful. Let's do it anyway. I can split that and remove that triangle. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to fool with it anymore. It had its moment. But it does look like I need to come over here, make sure in Object, let's go to Hide Unselected, and that should make a lot of what I'm staring at a lot easier to discern, because there's some craziness going on here. So, back over to vertices, U and U, Alt-M, merge to center, U and U, Alt-M, merge to center. We can leave these guys like this, or we can just kind of slide this guy back a little ways so it's not as big of a deal. So if I grab U and Alt-M merge to last, that should clean that up. We have detail here that we probably do not need. So let's just see if we can get rid of it. And if we have to put it back in, then we'll just undo and put it all back in. So let's merge to last, Shift-R, Shift-R. And then what I'm going to do is jump over to Edges, and let's grab these edges. We'll extrude these back, switch over to Vertices, merge to last, merge to last, so it just sort of cleans that up. Now if I get back here to object mode and we show hidden, all of that still looks nice, which is good. Okay, so that's a good start. Now with that done, let's grab these two pieces, and I'm just going to click join and put them back together as a single polygon object that has been separated, which is very nice. There are no discernible gaps that we have to worry about. The only other thing I wouldn't mind doing is kind of cleaning up what's going on here. So if I stick my head inside, and we can grab edges, 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 all these little thickness edges right in here. including this guy. And let's just pull these down. Now that is going to create a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. We're not worried about that too much. In fact, I'm going to accentuate it. We're going to overdo it by just a little bit. And I'll switch over to vertices. Now, make sure I'm moving the right guy. Let's turn on snapping. I want to snap to vertices. And we'll just snap each one of these in. There we go. Point. And snap in. And snap in. Snap in. And that about does it. So now I'm just going to go back through and clean up that gap. Let's go ahead and turn snapping back off. So we don't need it to stay quite as thick as I've got it. I'm just going to pull things back up a little ways. Check it out from the side. We'll give it a little bit of a slant. Some exposure. Now here, we need to kind of slide this back so that they fit in nicely. So about there. Here, once again, we don't need that much of a gap. In fact, that gap, or that kind of edge there, the bevel, should start to diminish as we get down toward the end of the wing, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so there we go. So we have our separation underneath. Could actually be cleaned up a little bit from here. If we jump to underside shot, we can actually see how that cleanup should take place. It's a good idea maybe to jump on that. So let's see. If I switch over to vertices, make sure that we are in edit mode. Don't try to change into vertex mode while you're still in object mode or you get some weirdness. And let's grab these two verts. It looks like I had something selected that I didn't want to have selected, so I just grab these, slide them forward. Grab these also, slide them forward. Grab these also, slide them forward. That's probably going to work out just as well as I need it to. Yeah, looks nice and clean from here, which is just what I wanted. Okay. So that allows us to start paying a little more attention to what's going on as we move our way down the nose, which is great. So let's jump over to the top view, and what I'm going to do is go into edit mode. Let's grab this edge. Well, we can also grab this edge too. I wasn't gonna, but I guess we will. And let's just extrude them all the way up here. So if you start off with these really long lines, it's going to be a lot easier to keep the main body of our ship nice and straight. If you go a step at a time, like extrude a little and tweak and extrude a little and tweak, it's going to be a lot likelier that you'll end up with a whole bunch of more work to do because something will be off by a little bit, and you'll end up having to adjust a whole bunch of little vertices. So don't do that to yourself, if you can help it. Pull this to about here, we'll pull this in, And we'll pull this to somewhere back here, and you can see that follows the contour pretty close. Apparently there's a little bit of a conical shape in here where you can see we're pulling away from the straight line of the edge, which is fine. Let's jump over to our side view. And we can adjust these as well, so we can pull this down to about here, pull this down to about here, and pull this all the way down, and that follows the wing edge pretty well. Not bad at all. We could pull it up a little higher. We could grab this edge. Well, if it'll let me grab this edge, thank you. And we can extrude that downward. Switch over to vertices, grab these two verts, and it doesn't really matter how we merge them. At center should be okay. Let's double check and see that nothing too crazy happened with the shape. It looks like something crazy did indeed happen with the shape, but nothing we can't fix. So pull that in. That's odd. Whatever that vertex is, it needs to go away, so make sure that goes away. Okay, now back up to the top view, and we need to clean this up a little bit. Alright, so that's looking pretty good so far. Now, if we were to take this and start bringing it into the functional part of the nose cone, let's take a look from the side. We have this sort of vent down here on the bottom. If we jump to the front view, it's a little easier to see. A little open port thingy down here that we need to pay attention to. Also, it looks like we could stand to play a little bit with the overall thickness of the underside of the ship. Like, we haven't checked this in a while, and it is a little bit too small. Let me see if I can knock that out real quick without that becoming a major chore. So this could be moved down. This could just be pulled out a ways, and this could come out. Yeah, I cleaned it up pretty quick and easy, actually. Alright, now back to what I was talking about. We have the front, which just kind of shoots pretty much straight in and goes underneath the nose cone. What I want to do is start over here at the side view, and I'm going to hit Control R, and these guys aren't really attached right now, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. Let's just go to right about here. Switch over to edges. I want this edge all by its lonesome. Let's go to the underside. How far off are we, actually? Well, we can fix that first. So let's just grab these vertices here. We'll pull those in so that those kind of follow the contour a little better. Yeah, I like that. Okay, now let's do what I was going to do a second ago. So let's switch over to edges, grab just this front edge, switch over to the underside of our little ship, extrude, only to about there, and then switch over to vertices. I don't want to bring them to the point where they touch in the middle. Alright, now let's switch back over to the front, and that was like a straight-in extrusion, which doesn't help us that much, but it's a start. Pull that down to about here, pull that down to about here. We can also play with the thickness of the wing just a little bit. Make sure it doesn't get too ridiculously thin. That looks pretty good. Okay. So now you see what we've done there. We just brought these in. It's starting to look kind of like a folded paper airplane, which is hilarious. Alright, now let's grab edges again. Get you, and well, there's a couple of ways to do this. Let's jump over to the front view. And actually, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to extrude and then just touch these guys together, like so. So they do that. Let's check it out from the side. Look how nicely that lined up. That's actually kind of freaky when that happens. All right, to vertices, and we'll pull this vertex up, and that looks pretty good. Then we will hit Control R and add an edge lengthwise, jump to the front view, and use this to apply a little more rounding to this frontal shape. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Alright, now let's see about getting some attachment in place. So we can hit Control R here, jump to about there. And this is about the point where that crease should be more or less gone anyway, I'm thinking. We could double check that. I mean, it's still a little present, but not I mean, I think if it was gone by now, it wouldn't be the end of my modeling job. So let's just start with it gone. If I need to add something back in, then I'll add something back in. But what we'll do is just connect those faces like so. Okay, and I'm suddenly seeing why maybe that wasn't the best idea I've had all day. Yeah, let's not do it that way. Change my mind. Which is great when I can do that. Yeah, let's do it this way. Let's grab you and extrude these forward. And then grab vertices, grab these two verts and merge to last. It'd be nice if we had somebody we could merge to, and we don't really, so I'm going to hit Control R. Drop this guy in right about here, and then immediately, before I do anything else, we've already got vertices selected. Let's grab these two, Alt-M, merge to last, grab these two, Alt-M, merge to last, grab this guy, Alt-M, merge to last. Didn't want to move. And these two, Shift R, excellent. Actually, wait a minute, hang on. There we go. Yeah, I was thinking I had an underside to this piece, and I don't. Haha. Okay, so let's go ahead and merge these together. And then we can just take this guy and just sort of clean him up manually. I almost kind of liked it when that was going all the way over here, but you know what? That's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up over that. Let's extrude these out again, so we'll switch over to edges, and get you guys, come on, and extrude all the way out to here. Same as before. Vertex, vertex, Alt-M, at last, vertex, vertex, Shift-R to repeat, grab vertex, pull in, and we're already starting to get rid of that crease, which is good. We can also kind of clean up what these guys are doing. In fact, the way I want to do this, let's go to Edges, grab U, Control E, Edge Slide, and we just slide that back a little ways. It just looks nicer. Okay, and we could probably get away with doing that at least one more time. So let's hit Control R right up here. We'll slide this out here to the edge. And, you know, a couple of different ways to do it. Let's do it a different way this time. Let's grab these guys and hit F. Let's hit Control R and run a guy that way, like so. And then we can go to Control Tab V, grab U and U, Alt M at last, and then that really narrows that down to nothing by the time it makes it up there, which is nice. And let's see if we smooth that out. It's starting to really come together, I think. Okay, so the next thing, I don't want to deal with the tip of the nose just yet. We'll come to that in a while. What I want to do is sort of clean up what's going on down here. I think we've got some detail that we don't need that is kind of, well, it's going to get in our way sooner or later. So I want to deal with that. Yeah, let's see. If I jump over to the side view, I can see all of this, which is great. Let's straighten all this up. Make it look nice. Nicer, anyway. Okay, now let's deal with these guys. We could probably get away with murdering these. In fact, let's see, if I hit Control, Tab F, grab these guys, hit X, remove those faces, Control Tab E to grab edges, pull these guys over, and then pull down a little bit, slide back a little bit. Well, I don't want to slide that back. Let's just go to vertices, and I'll just slide this vertex back a ways. Let me sort of tuck these in. Actually, I'm going to move my 3D cursor, I guess. And let's put this guy, put another edge in here. I did that with Control R, of course. And let's just pull that down. And yeah, so we can clean these up just a little bit. And we'll leave that alone. Just kind of a shape interpolation that's kind of doing its job. We don't want to mess with how well it's doing its job. Okay, now that done, we've got these edges here that we can use. If we take a look from the up in the underside, that's where I want to look from. Yeah, they're pretty much already surrounding exactly where they need to go. I could slide them both in slightly, make a quick adjustment to the shape. So I want these to kind of frame where this this air intake sort of shape is going to come down. Then let's jump over to the side view. I'll hit E and just extrude that down, like so. Extrude down again, like so, for some rounding. And we'll extrude back to about here. Now if we show all of this, then we can start seeing where we need to start connecting some vertices. Okay, and Alt-M at last. Excuse me. And this should kind of flare outward as it goes, so I'm just going to assume this will work. Shift-R and Shift-R. Now, moving from there, we could switch over to edges, grab U, and hit F, hit Control R, and click to there, Control R, click, go to there, switch over to vertices, let's just pull this away, grab U, Alt-M at last, pull this away, grab U, Alt-M at last, so that connects those up. Now, as for that little bit of rounding right there, I like it, and it would require us to put another edge in here if we didn't want to branch too far off for another triangle. I'll think about that for just a minute. In the meantime, let's go with Control R, click, boom, Control R, click, boom, and then well, yeah, we can just go the other way. So edges, U, U, F, U, U, F. And then, yeah, let's just do it. Control R, click. Pull that up to about there. I'm going to change my mind a little. Let's go to right about here. And then I'll switch over to vertices and slide this forward and in a little ways. Switch over to edges, F, F, Control R, wrap around to there will be fine, just fine. And then over to vertices, grab U and U, and Alt M, meet at last. Let's just start pulling these in. That'll get a nice differentiation in the sides of the shape. Also check this from the front, which will be really important. And actually, it doesn't look too terrible. I realize it's a little hard to read, depending on how you're looking at it, but overall, I've certainly seen a lot worse. That's not what I want to do. You. We have a gap going on right there? It looks like we do. Let's take a look at that. I don't want there to be big honking gaps like that. That's horrible. So, pull this down. Pull this up a little bit. Let's also take a look from the underside. A little hard to read that, but it looks like it's doing its job pretty well. What we can do here is pull this forward. Well, it may not be necessary. Let me actually undo that. Let me grab some faces here. So, Control F, boom, 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 boom. Extrude, right click, scale down, like so. Then extrude, right click, slide back in Y. Switch over to edges, grab this edge, slide it back, and slide it up to kind of smooth that out. Then switch back over to faces, grab these guys here, hit S, and then Y, and scale these down so they're nice and flat inside there. Grab vertices, grab these guys, and kind of tug them down to straighten them out. Clean this little transition in the shape up a little bit. All right, well, that gives us plenty more ship to look at. And that's getting us all the way up to the front part of our Viper, which is coming together pretty nicely, all things considered. So, ooh, some nastiness going on back here. As I jump away, it looks like I moved a vertex or merged something I didn't mean to. But let's take a look at that real quick before I fly away. It looks like it just needs to be pulled back down. Glad I saw it now as opposed to later and freaked out, now instead of later. So I think this is a good place to stop for the evening. So that is going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for joining us. A big thanks goes out to all of our member sponsors, and I will catch you all on the next video. Take care.